All right, so we are going to start this week. We're going to discuss about ghost and how to remember deaths in Buddhism. As you all recall, we have been discussing about death in Buddhism and Halloween and the cultures related to it. အဲ့တော့ကျွန်တော်တို့တွေဒီဒါတတိယမြောက်အပတ်ပေါ့နော် Halloween ကနေပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ Halloween ကိုဗုဒ္ဓဘာသာရေးအနေနဲ့ဘယ်လိုမြင်သင့်တယ်လဲဆိုတဲ့ဟာကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ဆွေးနွေးပြီးတော့ဒီနေ့မှာတော့ဒီတရားတွေစီတွေပိတ်တာတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့မြတ်စွာဘုရားတရားတော်ထဲမှာဘယ်လိုတွေဟောထားတယ်ဒီကျွန်တော်တို့ဗုဒ္ဓဘာသာယဉ်ကျေးမှုအနေနဲ့ဘယ်လိုတွေရှိတယ်မြန်မာယဉ်ကျေးမှုဘယ်လိုရှိတယ်ကျန်တဲ့ဘာသာရေးယဉ်ကျေးမှုတွေမှာဘယ်လိုတွေတွေ့ရတယ်ဆိုတဲ့ဟာကို discuss လုပ်သွားမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ် So this is the agenda for today. So we're going to have our Dhamma learning mindset. Then we'll review a little bit of what we discussed last week as a refresher. Then we'll discuss about how do different cultures remember their deceased ancestors. And we'll also discuss about how do Buddhists remember their ancestors. And how do we keep our mindset in a correct way for our next life? ကျွန်တော်ဒီတစ်ပတ်အနေနဲ့တော့ဓမ္မဒီတရား discussion အချိန်မှာကိုယ့်ရဲ့စိတ်ထားလေးဘယ်လိုရှိရမလဲဆိုတဲ့ဟာလေးကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ပြောဆိုပါမယ်ပြီးရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ပြီးခဲ့တဲ့ဘက်က discuss လုပ်ခဲ့တဲ့ဟာလေးတွေကိုနည်းနည်းလေး refreshment လုပ်ပါမယ်ပြီးရင်ဒီကမ္ဘာလုံးမှာရှိတဲ့တချို့သောလူမျိုးတွေသူတို့တည်ဆုံးသွားပြီးတဲ့သူတို့ဆွေမျိုးမိဘတွေကိုဘယ်လိုအမှတ်ရကြသလဲဘယ်လိုထိမ့်မတည်ဖြစ်ကြသလဲဆိုတဲ့ဟာကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ကြည့်ပါမယ်ပြီးရင်ဒါမျိုးဗုဒ္ဓဘာသာဝင်တွေကျွန်တော်တို့ဗမာတွေဘာလုပ်ကြသလဲဗုဒ္ဓဘာသာတယောက်အနေနဲ့ဒီကနေ့မှာဘယ်လိုစိတ်ထားမျိုးထားရမလဲအဲ့ဒါတွေကိုကျွန်တော်တို့မြတ်စွာဘုရားဟောကြားထားတယ်ကျွန်တော်တို့ပေတဝတ္ထုပုံမြင်တွေကဇာတ်လမ်းလေးတချို့နဲ့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဖတ်ပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော် discuss လုပ်ကြပါမယ် So as agenda number one, we're going to wear Dhamma discussion mindset together. Let's start. I like to discuss Dhamma. I discuss Dhamma well. I enjoy discussing Dhamma. I am happy discussing Dhamma. Discussing Dhamma is the only thing I am focused on at this moment. Phaya de Bero di Dhamma go lo chin chin sui nui ja ba gong i. လေးနက်ကောင်းမွန်စွာဆွေးနွေးကြပါကုန်၏ဆွေးနွေးခြင်း၌မွေးလျော်နှင့်ချိုက်ကြပါကုန်၏ဆွေးနွေးခြင်း၌ပျော်ရွှင်ကြပါကုန်၏ဆွေးနွေးခြင်းတစ်ခုတည်း၌သာမိမိတို့၏စိတ်ကိုဒီထားဆုစိုက်ကြပါကုန်၏ All right, we're going to review what we discussed a little bit of last week. So last week we discussed about Samanya Sutta related to Halloween-like tradition in India and what happened to the famous king around the time of Buddha and how the famous Samanya Sutta came about. So out of that Samanya Sutta, so there are just a few things that I really want you to recall. Sarah, you want to pick a slide and discuss?
Could I choose the bottom right side of that
Sure,
slide?
sure.
So, this talks about higher benefits of contemplative life, because King Ajatasattu asked a Buddha like what he could see right now, like what benefits he could see from being a monk like right now, because when he asked all the other leaders, they couldn't answer, but Buddha said that the benefits of it were peacefulness of mind and body, supernormal powers, clairaudience, mind reading, recollection of past lives, and more.
Liberation from samsara. Thank you, Tmi. Okay. So the Samanya Sutta we discussed, And the name Samanya Phala, Samanya stands for the monk or being a recluse. Phala meaning the benefit of the fruit. Okay. The real full name of Samanya Phala Sutta is Samdettika Samanya Phala, meaning the benefit of being a monk that can be seen right now, right? Benefit of the monk that like can be seen now. So that's all the Ajatata Suru, the King Ajatata asked Buddha. So even though the other 6 spiritual leaders at that time could not answer that question, so Buddha answered very simply. The first benefit is that if any layperson become a monk, even the king has to bow down to them. Even the king cannot ask them to do things anymore for the country or for the king. That's the first benefit. The second benefit is that they don't have to pay tax anymore, right? And then they go to the higher benefit of all these that Sarah discussed. So that's how Samanya Phala Sutta came about, and we discussed about how the king went to Buddha and how he started having a lot of headache after he killed his father and stuff. Okay, all right. So now this week we're going to continue things related to that. So we're going to discuss about how to remember deceased ancestor in Buddhist way. That's the topic today. So all over the world, different religions, different cultures remember their ancestors in different ways. Now, some of you will know this. So Hispanic, Mexican, Spain, they have a special day for this. George, how do you call that day?
Day of the Dead.
The Day of the Dead. Do you know in Spanish?
No, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Okay, so the day is pronounced the Dia, D-I-A, right? Dia de Muertos. Muertos mean dead. So the Day of the Dead. Okay, so on that day, they take out the pictures of the dead relatives and they put it on an altar. A lot of people, a lot of Mexican, Spanish, they make the altar very beautiful and they offer a bunch of food. Look at all this. Okay, so that's special pan that they bake. Okay, and then they put in stuff that they liked, flowers. Okay, fruits. So that's the Hispanic culture, right? Now we discussed about that. Indian have their culture called Shredder. So King Ajatata, this is the tradition that actually led Ajatata to go to the 6th ascetic and ask that questions, right? So Indians have their own culture. Well, ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီကမ္ဘာလုံးမှာတေဆုံးပြီးသွားတဲ့ကိုယ့်ရဲ့ဆွေမျိုးတွေဘိုးဘွားမိဘတွေကိုတတိရတဲ့ရက်တရက်အနေနဲ့လူမျိုးတော်တော်များများမှာရှိကြပါတယ်။တော်တော်များများရဲ့ယဉ်ကျေးမှုတွေဒီအတော်လေးကိုချစ်ဖို့ကောင်းပါတယ်။ဥပမာကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီ US နဲ့အနည်းဆုံးနိုင်ငံဖြစ်တဲ့ Mexico နောက် Spain ဒီနိုင်ငံတွေမှာ the day of the dead ဆိုပြီးတော့သူတို့တေချာကျင်းပပါတယ်။နော်သူတို့အိမ်တွေမှာသူတို့တေဆုံးပြီးသွားတဲ့ဆွေမျိုးတွေဖိုးဖွားတွေတက်ပုံတွေကိုပြန်ချိတ်တယ်ပြီးရင်သူတို့ဂိမ်းမုတ်တွေဖုတ်တယ်ပမုတ်ဖုတ်တယ်နော်အဲ့ special ပမုတ်ဖုတ်တယ်တီးတွေနှမ်းတွေစားတွေတောက်တွေနဲ့သူတို့ကျင်းပကြတယ်နော်သူတို့အိမ်မှာလုပ်တော့အဲ့လိုပဲကျွန်တော်တို့အိန္ဒိယမှာလည်းဒီ Shraddha ဆိုတဲ့ရက်တရက်ကိုမှသူတို့လုပ်ကြတယ်ဒီဟာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့အစာတသက်ပြင်သည်သူကိုယ်တိုင်သူ့အဖေကိုတတ်ခဲ့တဲ့အခါမှာသူအိမ်မက်တွေအိမ်မက်ဆိုရမှတ်ခေါင်းတွေကဂိုက်အိတ်လို့မပြောတဲ့အခါမှာဒီပညာရှင်ကြီး philosopher 6ကိုတွားပြီးတော့သူမေးတဲ့မိကုန်းတွေမဖြေနိုင်လို့နောက်ဆုံးမှာမြတ်စွာဘုရားရှိရောက်သွားပြီးတော့ဒီတာမညာဖလတုတ်တန်ကြီးဖြစ်ပေါ်လာတယ်ဆိုတဲ့ဟာကိုကျွန်တော် discuss လုပ်ပြီးဟုတ်ပြီအဲ့တော့ what religion you think this picture represent Sarah
I'm not sure.
You're not sure. Okay. So I'm sure some of you will know, maybe your parents will know, this is the Chinese culture, because a lot of Asian like pork, okay? Not necessarily only Chinese, if you look at Vietnamese, okay? Laotian, Cambodians, pretty much very similar. Like Japanese and Korean, very similar. So this is a picture from a Chinese culture. So the Chinese have a special day the same way. The Chinese actually celebrate two things, 2 days related to that and the, paranormal belief. So one day in Chinese is very similar to Halloween, where they actually feed the ghost and those paranormal belief. The other is the Day of the Dead. Okay, so the other, someone said it in the chart, called Hungry Ghost Festival, right? So what they do is they go to this. Now, Hungry Ghost Festival is something similar to Halloween. Now, this one is a little different. This one is for your ancestors. The Chinese, they go to the cemetery, to the grave of their ancestors. They clean the grave and they feed them with very delicious food. Okay, different types of food depending on what part of China or what country, right? A little bit different depending on the location that they live, but the idea is the same. ဟုတ်လားအဲ့လိုပဲကျွန်တော်တို့ဗမာနိုင်ငံနဲ့နေတဲ့တရုတ်နိုင်ငံမှာကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီအမေရိကရောက်လာတဲ့ဗမာလူမျိုးတွေဒီလည်းတရုတ်လူမျိုးတွေများပါတယ်ကျွန်တော်တို့တစေးပွဲဆိုပြီးလုပ်တဲ့တရက်ကတော့တသက်ရက်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့တစေးပွဲကကြတော့ဒီကိုယ်ဆွေမျိုးမဟုတ်တဲ့ဘသူပဲဖြစ်ဖြစ်တစေးတွေတရေတွေကိုကျွေးတဲ့ရက်တရက်ရှိတယ်အဲ့ဒီရက်မှာဒီတစေးတရေတွေအတွက်စားတောက်တွေကိုပြန်မှချကျွေးကြတယ်စာရွက်တွေမီးရှို့တယ်ပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်တို့ဥမာစင်ကာပူဆိုရင်အဲ့ဒီရက်ဆိုရင်မီးရှို့ပြီးတော့တခါမိုးမမြင်လောက်မောင်မဲနေအောင်ရှို့အဲ့ဒါကတည်းကဒါဒီကကြတော့ဒီ Kunming Festival Qingming Festival လို့ထွက်တဲ့ဟာနဲ့တူတယ်တရုတ်တန်နဲ့ဆိုရင် Qingming Festival ကကြတော့သူကတင်ញိုင်းကုန်းရှင်းတဲ့နေ့ပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်ဗမာတွေကတင်ញိုင်းရှင်းတဲ့နေ့ဆိုပြီးတင်ញိုင်းကြောတဲ့နေ့ပေါ့ဆိုတော့ကိုယ့်ရဲ့မိဘဆွေမျိုးတွေရှိတဲ့တင်ញိုင်းကိုသွားတယ်တင်ញိုင်းအုပ်ကူတွေကိုရှင်းတယ်ပြီးရင်ကြောကြတယ်ပေါ့နော်စားတွေတောက်တွေနဲ့ဆိုတော့ဒီလိုမျိုး culture တွေဒီတစ်ကမ္ဘာလုံးမှာရှိတယ်ပေါ့နော်တော်တော်များများလူမျိုးတွေမှာရှိကြတယ် very very beautiful very interesting so now there are some festival some other culture which is even more interesting so I want you to look at the one of the culture of Indonesia which is close to Burma also a lot of us will not know this culture for the dead how they look at their ancestors. But you know, Indonesia မှာရှိတဲ့ပွဲတော်လေးတစ်ခုရှိတယ် Manin Festival လို့ခေါ်တယ်အရင်စိတ်ဝင်စားဖို့ကောင်းတယ်နော်ဒါလေးကတိတ်လူမသိကြဘူးပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်တရုတ်တင်ញိုင်းကြောပွဲတွေပဲသိကြတယ်ဆိုတော့ဒါလေးကိုကြည့်ကြည့်အောင်နော်ဆိုတော့ don't be scared
ဆရာကျွန်တော်တော့မကြားဘူးဆရာပြောနေလား
Oh,
အားလုံး
sorry.
ကျန်တဲ့တွေကြားလားမသိနော်
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, you're right. I was on mute.
Okay.
So basically the Chinese, they just go to the they just go to the cemetery and they clean the grave of their ancestors. They don't really take out the bodies, the dead body like the Indonesians do. For Indonesian, they actually retrieve the body, they take it back home, and they clean up, and they treat them as if they are alive. And they do that for days, and some people do that for weeks. So that's their culture. It is scary, right? But for them, they're so used to it. So remember, I explained to you that the Halloween is something that we as Buddhists need to look at from a different perspective. From the positive standpoint, one of the perspectives that we look at is to overcome fear, right? If you look at this festival in Indonesia, it's really gross and scary, but they are not. When you look at it, and the flip side, it is very interesting, very beautiful, right? So I just want you to learn about the different culture all over the world in different countries. Different people, they pay respect to their ancestors. ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီကမ္ဘာလုံးမှာလူမျိုးပေါ်မှာမူတည်ပြီးတော့တည်ဆုံးပြီးတဲ့လူတွေတတိယတာတွေမတူကြဘူးเนาะကျွန်တော်တို့မြန်မာတရုတ်တွေများတယ်ဒီနိုင်ငံကိုရောက်လာတာကျွန်တော်တို့တရုတ်တွေဆိုရင်တင်ញိုင်းကုန်းကိုသွားတယ်တင်ញိုင်းကုန်းမှာတင်ញိုင်းကူတွေကိုအုတ်ကူတွေရှင်းတယ်သူတို့စားတောက်တွေနဲ့ကျွေးမွေးတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒါပေမဲ့ဒီအင်ဒိုနီးရှားဆိုရင်တို့ကအဲ့ဒါလည်းမကဘူးဘာလို့လဲဆိုတော့ body ကိုပြန်ပြီးတော့အိမ်ကိုခေါ်လာတယ်ခေါ်လာပြီးတော့တို့တက်ရှိထင်ရှားရှိနေတော့ကအတိုင်းပဲတို့ကိုပြန်ပြီးတော့ပြုစုကြတော်တော်လေးကိုစိတ်ဝင်စားဖို့ကောင်းနော်အဲ့တော့ဒီထိပြောချင်တဲ့ဟာကကျွန်တော်တို့လူမျိုးတိုင်းဟာတို့သိဆုံးသွားပြီးတဲ့တို့ဆွေမျိုးတွေမိဘတွေကိုပြန်ပြီးတော့တတိရတဲ့ရက်ကိုတသက်မှတ်တရထားပြီးလုပ်ကြတယ်ဟုတ်လားမက္ဆီကန်တွေလုပ်တယ်စပိန်တွေလုပ်တယ်အင်ဒိုနီးရှားတွေလုပ်တယ်တရုတ်တွေလုပ်တယ်ကျန်တဲ့လူမျိုးတွေလည်းအများကြီးအားလုံးလုပ်ကြပါနော် Okay so အဲ့တော့ကျွန်တော်တို့So how about us? Miranda, what do you want to go after your dad?
In upper realm or
To upper realm. Very good. To upper realm. Very good. How about you, Josh?
A higher realm.
A higher realm? Okay, very good. Sarah, you have any specific place that you want to go after you die?
a higher realm,
A
and
higher realm.
if not, I'll stay here. If not,
All right, very good. So let me ask you another question. How do you want to die? Do you want to, after you die, do you want to be remembered like Chinese or Indonesian or Hispanic? How do you want to be remembered by your, let's say your kids or your relative or your friends? How do you want to be remembered? Do you like this Indonesian way? Or do you like the Chinese way? Or do you like the Indian way? Do you like the Hispanic way? If you had to pick one, which way would you like? Would you pick, Hispanic will look nice? Or do you like Indian way, which is somewhat similar to Burmese way, because we Burmese also, let's say my father died. Now, every year on the day that my father died, I will invite monks to my home and offer food. So very similar to Indian way. In India, the same way. So Indians, they invite Brahmins. Basically, they're similar to monks and they offer food, right? So would you prefer Indian way or Burmese way kind of thing? Or would you like Chinese way with a lot of food? Very yummy, right? Or would you like the Indonesian way that your ancestor dig out your body and bring you back home and clean you up and treat you? Brenda, which one would you pick?
I don't really have a preference for either of them.
It's hard, right? So how about you, Sarah? Would you
I
have any-
wouldn't choose any because I wouldn't really get anything from it, and it's kind of a waste of time and money.
All right, very good, very good. Josh, you have any preference?
I don't know. I'll just choose the popular one.
You should just choose a popular one, all right? Okay, Kathleen?
I have a preference.
You don't have a preference. All right, okay. Let's discuss about it. So a lot of us, especially some of you including, your parents are Chinese, who immigrated here from Burma. And how some of your parents may still celebrate this. Okay, how many of your parents celebrate this? Raise your hand. No one? Okay, so that's good. So some of your parents celebrate this still. So my wife relatives, some of them still celebrate this. Okay, but there is a problem with that. From the Buddhist standpoint, it could be good, it could be bad. If you don't know what you're doing, it could be really, really bad for you. Okay, so here you see that in Burmese, I call it Tayuti, the same shit. Meaning when Chinese die, they become hungry ghosts. Okay, why are there many hungry ghosts in China? So do you want to think why Chinese become hungry ghosts when they die? Miranda, you want to think? Why do you think the Chinese will become hungry ghosts when they die?
Probably because like when they're about to die, they're still attached to all the things they have, or like they want a certain thing before they die, or
Very good.
they're greedy before they die because
very-
they're dying.
Very good. But what are they thinking at that moment before they die? Yes, Sarah.
I think they're thinking about when they die. They are thinking about what the families will do for them after like they die. And
Very
like,
good.
stuff.
Perfect. Yes. So because it is in their blood, it is in their culture, right? So what happened is that when their parents, their grandpa, grandma die, right? They saw that kind of ceremony. And every year they go to the cemetery and cleanse the tomb and pray and food, right? Now, when their parents died, they did the same thing. Now, when they're going to die, what are they going to think about? They're going to think about the same way, right? Just like in the Mulan movie, right? It's fun. When I die, they're going to put my body next to my wife in the grave that I already bought. Every year, they're going to come to me, claim my grave, and they're going to offer food to me and my ancestor. I'll meet my wife, my father, my mother, my family, my uncle. That will be a lot of fun. So there is a very high chance that the Chinese, if they die with that kind of mindset, they will become hungry ghosts. Okay, so yes, the culture is beautiful, but it is dangerous from the Buddhist standpoint if you don't know how to keep your mindset. So it is okay to continue the culture because that's the culture. That's not related to Buddhism, right? That's the culture that you carried over from your ancestor, from your mother, father, from your grandparents. It is a beautiful culture, but it is a dangerous culture from Buddhist standpoint. So you need to be very careful of how you carry the parents' culture. ဟုတ်လားကျွန်တော်တို့ဗမာတွေတော်တော်များများဒီအမေရိကရောက်လာတဲ့ဗမာတွေတော်တော်များများတရုတ်မျိုးနွယ်ဝင်ဗမာတွေဖြစ်ပါတယ်ကျွန်တော်တို့ဗမာနိုင်ငံကတရုတ်တွေကိုရောက်လာတယ်အဲ့တော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီမှာတရုတ်တွေတစ်စီဖြစ်ဆိုတာကကျွန်တော်ရေးထားတဲ့စကားပါဘယ်သူမှရေးထားတာမဟုတ်ပါဘူးကျွန်တော်ဒါကလည်းရေးဝမ်းကြီးကျွန်တော်ရေးတယ်လို့ကျွန်တော်ဝန်ခံပါတယ်ဘာဖြစ်လို့လဲဆိုတော့တရုတ်တွေတော်တော်များများဒီသူတို့ငယ်လေးတွေပေါ့နော်တနေ့တစ်ခါတင်ញိုင်းသွားကြတော့တယ်ဆိုရင်ကြောက်စရာမဟုတ်ပျော်စရာကြီးလိုမျိုးသွားတယ်ပေါ့နော်တင်ញိုင်းသွားကြတော့ကြတယ်အရင်လည်းချစ်ဖို့ကောင်းတဲ့ယဉ်ကျေးမှုတွေပါနောက်ကိုယ့်ရဲ့တည်ဆုံးပြီးသွားတဲ့မိဘတွေဆွေမျိုးတွေအဖိုးတွေဖွားတွေသွားပြီးတော့ကြော့တယ်အုတ်ကူရှင်းတယ်စားတောက်ကောင်းတယ်ဝက်စားလာလေးတွေဝက်တယ်စားတောက်ကောင်းတွေကျွေးကြတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့ဘာဖြစ်နိုင်တယ်လဲဆိုတော့တေကန်နီးမှာလည်းကျွန်တော်တို့ကအုတ်ကူဝယ်ထားတယ်မြေနေရာလည်းဝယ်ထားတယ်ဆိုတော့ကိုကโอเคငါအတွက်မြေနေရာရှိပြီးသားငါယောက်ျားအဲ့မှာရှိတယ်ငါမိမအဲ့မှာရှိတယ်ငါဖေရှိတယ်ငါအမေရှိတယ်ငါသူတို့နဲ့တွေ့ရမယ်ဆိုရက်အဲ့ဒီ mindset နဲ့တည်သွားတယ်ဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ဗုဒ္ဓဘာသာအမြင်အရကျွန်တော်တို့တေကန်နီးမှာဖြစ်တဲ့မရဏတနာဇောမှာအဲ့ဒီစိတ်တွေဝင်သွားရင်အဲ့ဒီမှာတရေသွားဖြစ်တစ်စီသွားဖြိုချမ်းစာအများများပါတယ်အဲ့အတွက်ပြောတာပေါ့အဲ့တော့ဒါကိုဘာကြောင့်ဒီလိုပြောလဲဆိုတော့ဟာကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီမြတ်စွာဘုရားဟောခဲ့တဲ့ပေတဝတ္ထုဆိုတာရှိပါတယ်ဒီတရေတွေတစ်စီတွေအကြောင်းကိုမြတ်စွာဘုရားနဲ့ယဟန္တာတွေရှင်သာရိပုတ္တရာတို့ရှင်မောက္ကလန်တို့ဟောခဲ့တဲ့ပုံမြင်တွေကိုစုထားပြီးတော့ရေးထားတာပေတဝတ္ထုဆိုတာရှိပါတယ်အဲ့ပေတဝတ္ထုကပုံမြင်လေးတစ်ခုကိုကျွန်တော်တို့discuss လုပ်ပြီးတော့ဆွေးနွေးပါမယ် so now I'm going to support what I just mentioned about why the Chinese could become hungry ghosts after they die, based on this preaching and teachings of Buddha. Okay, so your parents can read with you in Burmese here, or there are English books here that you can buy online, or you can borrow that from me. I have those. So the stories of ghost from Petawatu, a story of heavenly mansion from Vimana. Okay, so we're going to read a story from here and give you idea about why we could become hungry ghost if we are thinking of something or remembering the clan and the tomb and our ancestor like Chinese do. So before we read that story, I want to discuss a little deep in here, okay? So when we die, there's a mind process called VT process, okay? So how many of you are interested in computer programming and coding? Raise your hand. Any one of you? No? Sarah, Miranda, Josh? Catherine? Okay, no. So if you are interested in computer coding and programming, our mind process is like a computer programming. Okay, so this is one mind process. Okay, one consciousness mind process from 1 to 17 here. Okay, so this process, when we died, okay, this place here in our mind process called Javana. If you're thinking about your ancestors, if you're thinking about your dead ones, there's a good chance that you're going to go there. All right, ကျွန်တော်တို့ကတေကန်ဒီမှာမရဏတနာဝိထိဇောဆိုတာဖြစ်တယ်အဲ့ဒီဇောကြတဲ့အချိန်မှာဒီတိုင်းတော့မဟုတ်ဘူးเนาะဒီမရဏတနာဝိထိဇောကြတဲ့အချိန်မှာအဲ့ဇောစိတ်ဒီခုနကိုယ့်ရဲ့တင်ញိုင်းကုန်းကိုသွားဆွဲနေမယ်ကိုယ့်ရဲ့မိဘတွေကိုသွားဆွဲနေမယ်ဆိုရင်အဲ့ဒီဇောရဲ့အရှင်ကြောင့်เนาะကိုလည်းပဲအဲ့ဒီဘဝကိုသွားဖြစ်နိုင်တယ်ဆိုတဲ့ဟာလေးကိုကျွန်တော်တို့သိအောင်ဒီဝိထိစင်နဲ့ရှင်းပြတာပါတေချာနားလည်ခြင်းနဲ့ဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့အပိဓမ္မာမှာဝီတီဘိုင်းကိုပြန်ဖတ်ရင်ဒီအောင်နားလည်လာပါလိမ့်မယ် So now we're going to go to one of the story from this story of goats, the Petawitu. Okay. So anyone would like to volunteer to read the story? Okay, I'm going to pick Miranda. Miranda, could you read the story for us?
A woman was born as a ghost due to previous bad actions. But the results of different good actions arose to her in the form of great luxury. However, she was very lonely, so one day she set out a very sweet fruit to lure people to come to her. A young man found the sweet fruit and went to search for the place that the fruit came from. He saw the ghost and asked her, "Young man," said, "your mansion is supported by many pillars. Countless paintings are inside. When you are in the mansion, you shine like the full moon. Your body glows like gold. You are very nice to look at. You are sitting on a beautiful couch decorated with precious jewels, but you are sitting alone. It looks like you do not have a husband. There is a lotus pond surrounding your mansion, filled with flowers and lotuses. Golden colored sand is spread around the pond, while mud and duckweed is nowhere to be seen. Beautiful swans glide on the water all the time, singing beautiful songs. You are in a ship floating around the pond. You have thick, beautiful eyelashes, and your face is very delightful, always smiling. You are extremely beautiful, happy, and speak very pleasantly. This place is perfect. I wish that I could enjoy the heavenly pleasure here with you in this divine park, as beautiful as the Nandana Grove." Ghost said, "If you want to come live with me here, collect lots of merit, always keep this place in your mind and never forget it. After death, you will be reborn here and live with me." Young man said, "Okay, I will do as you say." The young man performed lots of meritorious deeds. He always thought about the mansion, and after death, he was reborn there and lived with the ghost.
Thank you to me. So here, Sarah, why do you think that the boy, the man, even though he did a lot of good merit, he became a ghost? Instead, he should be going to the upper realm, right? So the ghost is a lower realm, even lower than human. Why? Why did he become a ghost? Did he do anything bad?
No, he didn't, but he was thinking about the mansion. So he was reborn there instead.
Very good. So that's the power of our mind, right? No matter what kind of good deeds you do, but if your mindset is, oh, that's what I want, that's what I want, that's what I want, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get what you ask for, right? So because she, the ghost, she is so beautiful. She lives in a great mansion, right? Physically, you look at her, she is so very attractive. Look at her mansion, look at her house, so huge. A palace, even better than that. Look at the surrounding. Everything's perfect, right? So he did a lot of positive energy, good merit. But the fact that he is thinking about that ghost, instead of going up, what happened? He went down. So how would you equate that with the Chinese thinking about their ancestors to this story from Petawitu? Miranda. Is there anything wrong that Chinese are paying respect to their ancestors? Not really, right? You pay respect to your parents, you pay respect to your grandparents, then you pay respect to your ancestor. Nothing's wrong with that. It's a beautiful culture. But what is wrong here? The mindset before you die, right?
Yeah, because the man was thinking about the mansion.
Yeah,
Oh,
the man was thinking about the ghost, beautiful ghost, right? And the mansion. Now, the same thing, no matter how good of a positive energy I do, no matter how much donation I make, right? But when I die, all I'm thinking is, I'm going to go to my parents. They're in that grave in that Chinese cemetery. I already have a place there. I'll meet them. I'll have fun with them. Every year, my daughter and my son will come to me and offer me that food. Because that's my mindset before I die. Now, sure enough, I'm going to go become a ghost there. Just like this story. Okay? So, ကျွန်တော်ဒါဒီမြတ်စွာဘုရားဟောထားတဲ့ဒီပေတဝတ္ထုတွေကပုံမြင်တစ်ခုပါเนาะဒီပေတဝတ္ထုထဲမှာအထင်ရှားရှိပါတယ်ဟိုပြန်ရှာဖတ်လို့ရပါတယ်ရထကာရရေကန်ကြီးနာကတရေမအကြောင်းပေါ့เนาะတစေမအကြောင်းရေးထားတယ်အဲ့မှာသူကမြို့သမီးတယောက်ကသူကတစ်သက်လုံးဟိုဒီကောင်းတာတွေရောမကောင်းတာတွေရောလုပ်ခဲ့တယ်ပေါ့ကျွန်တော်တို့လိုပဲကျွန်တော်တို့လည်းဘဝမှာကောင်းတာတွေလုပ်တာတွေရှိသလိုမကောင်းတာတွေလုပ်တာတွေရှိတယ်မကောင်းတာလုပ်လို့သူကတရေဖြစ်ဟိုသူကဟိုတပတ်ဖြစ်သွားတယ်ဟိုတစေဖြစ်သွားတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒါပေမဲ့သူကောင်းတဲ့ကံကြောင့်ဘာရောက်တယ်လဲဆိုတော့သူကဗိမာန်ကြီးမှာတကယ်နန်းတော်လိုမျိုးဗိမာန်မှာသူကအရန်လှတဲ့တရေမှာဖြစ်သွားပြီးတော့သူကနန်းတော်ကြီးကလည်းအရန်ကိုဒီကောင်းတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့သူကအဖို့မရှိဘူးသူကအိမ်တော်ပတ်လည်းမရှိတော့သူကအရန်ပြင်းတော့တရက်မှာဘာလုပ်လိုက်လဲဆိုတော့သူကစမ်းကြောင်းလေးကနေပြီးတော့အရန်ကိုမှုတဲ့တရားတိလုံးလုံးကိုချလိုက်တော့အဲ့တော့လူငလေးတယောက်ကတော့တွေ့တော့အဲ့တရားတိကိုလိုက်ရှာရင်လည်းမြစ်စုံဒီချောင်းစုံတက်သွားတော့ဒီတရက်မရဲ့စံတော်တော့တွေ့တော့သူ့မေးတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဟာနဲ့အရန်ကိုလှတာပဲသူဘလောက်လှလဲကြည့်လေဒီမှာပြောထားအိမ်ကဘလောက်ပြီးတော့ခန်းနာတယ်သူဘလောက်လှတယ်ဆိုတဲ့ဟာကိုပြောထားသူအရန်ကိုသဘောကျသွားတယ်ဒီတရက်မကိုသူလိုချင်သွားတယ်လိုချင်သွားတော့တရက်မကိုမေးတယ်ငါနဲ့နေအောင်ဘယ်လိုလုပ်ရမလဲဆိုတော့တဲမကပြလိုက်တယ်အခုနေလို့မရဘူးနေကလူဖြစ်နေလို့နေတေမရမယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ဒီကိုရောက်ဖို့ဘယ်လိုလုပ်ရမလဲဆိုတော့ကောင်းမှုကုသိုလ်တွေလုပ်ပါဆိုတော့ဟုတ်ပြီနေပြောတဲ့အတိုင်းငါလုပ်မယ်ဆိုတော့သူကပြန်သွားပြီးတော့သူကောင်းမှုကုသိုလ်တွေအများကြီးလုပ်တယ်အကောင်းမှုကုသိုလ်တွေလုပ်ပြီးတော့တေခံဒီမှာသူကဒီတဲမအကြောင်းမစဉ်းစားနေတော့ကောင်းမှုကုသိုလ်လုပ်တော်ညာလဲသူဘာသွားဖြစ်လဲဆိုတော့တရေပဲသွားဖြစ်တယ်ဟုတ်လားအဲ့တော့ကျွန်တော်ကဒီဟာလေးကိုသိစေချင်တာပါเนาะအဲ့တော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဗမာတရုတ်တွေဟိုမိဘဆွေမျိုးတွေကိုတတိယရဆိုတာအလွန်ကိုလှပတဲ့ယဉ်ကျေးမှုလေးပါအရန်လဲခင်မြတ်နှုတ်ဖို့ကောင်းတဲ့ယဉ်ကျေးမှုလေးပါဒါပေမဲ့အဲ့ယဉ်ကျေးမှုကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ကတေချာနာမလဲပဲနဲ့သေကန်နီးမှာဒီအုတ်ဂူတွေကိုဆွဲမယ်ကိုယ့်ရဲ့တရုတ်ရိုးရယဉ်ကျေးမှုဖြစ်တဲ့ငါသေရင်တော့ငါမိဘတွေရှိသွားမှာပဲငါတင်ရင်တော့ငါကလေးတွေကငါတင်ကြိုင်လာကြော့မှာပဲလို့စွဲနေရင်တော့အဲ့မှာသစေးသွားဖြစ်ဖို့ chance များပါတယ်ဆိုတော့အဲ့ဒါလေးတွေကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီမြတ်စွာဘုရားဟောထားတဲ့မရဏတနာဝိထိအစဉ်လေးနဲ့ဆက်ပြီးတော့နားလည်ထားမယ်ဆိုရင်အတော်ကောင်းပါတယ်နားမလည်ခဲ့ရင်တော့တော်တော်လေးကိုအန္တရာယ်များတဲ့ယဉ်ကျေးမှုဖြစ်သွားပါလိမ့်မယ်နော်အဲ့ဒါလေးကိုသိသိချင်လို့ပါကျွန်တော်တို့ကလေးတွေကိုလည်းအဲ့ဒါလေးတွေနားလည်စေချင်ပါတယ်မိဘတွေလည်းနားလည်ပြီးတော့ကိုယ်တိုင်လည်းကိုယ့်ရဲ့ယဉ်ကျေးမှုကိုဆက်လုပ်လို့ရပါတယ်မီယိုဖလာကိုဆက်လုပ်လို့ရပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့မီယိုဖလာကိုအဲ့လိုလုပ်တဲ့အချိန်မှာကိုကစိတ်ထားမှားသွားပြီးရင်လည်းကိုတကယ်မလိုချင်တဲ့အပေပုံကိုပါဇက်ကမလိုချင်ဘူးပေမဲ့တေကန်ကြီးမှာစိတ်ကအရိယာတော့ဆိုရင်အပေပုံကိုဘလောက်ပဲကုသိုလ်လို့ရောက်သွားတတ်တယ်ဆိုတဲ့ဟာလေးကိုသိစေလိုပါတယ်All right, so that's the story of the ghost. Okay, so that I want you to apply this concept and to understand your cultural heritage and to make sure that you are taking only the positive and you're not taking the negative. And that negative is pretty bad. So just be very careful. Okay. All right. So now I want you to understand why So before we die, there are possible 3 signs that we see. So there are 3 types of karma nimitta, okay, or just plain karma and gati nimitta. All right, so karma is if there are certain karma that already predestined you where you go. Say, for example, if you kill your parents, okay, the Garuka karma, meaning there are 5 heinous crimes that you could do, right? Miranda, do you remember what those are? That you are for sure going to go to hell. What are those?
Killing your parents,
Okay,
injuring the Buddha,
good.
like dividing or like
The Biden, the Sangha.
yes, and then killing an arahat.
Very good, perfect, right? So killing your mother, killing your father, killing an arahant, and making Buddha bleed or injured, and Biden the Sangha. So that is called Guru Karma, right? So if you ever did that, doesn't matter what you're thinking about. Even if you're thinking about your ancestor or your positive deed, doesn't really matter. You are for sure going to go to hell. That's the Garuka Karma. All right. So that's a negative thing. Or if you ever meditated deep enough to a level that you got jhana, all right? Doesn't matter what you're thinking, that jhana will come back and you will definitely go to Brahman realm. Okay. And there's another type of karma called asanaga. Okay. So asanaga. So asanaga is a karma or the positive energy that you just did just before you die. So those 3 will guide you where you go. Okay. Now let's say you don't have this. Then what you see is the karma nimitta. Karma nimitta is you relive the moment of that positive or negative energy you ever did. Okay. That's where you are going to go. So let's say you recall, okay, I cleaned the monastery. One day monastery was really dirty, I clean it, you relive that and you see everything back. So that positive energy will lead you to a better place. Okay. Or I donated to that homeless guy. And at that time, your heart was really, really very strong. That donation to that homeless guy helped him. Now that you relive that moment, that is the karma nimitta. Now, gati nimitta is something that you will see of the place that you're going to go. Let's say if I'm going to go to hell, I will see fire from the hell. If I'm going to go to the upper realm, I'll see beautiful angels. But that is called gati nimitta. Okay. So now that's the signs that we see. You will see one of these. Okay. The chances that Garuka karma, you probably will never see that because you as Buddhists, you are never going to kill your parents, right? You're not going to make Buddha bleed. There's no Buddha during your lifetime today. You're not going to divide Sangha, hopefully, and you're not going to kill Arahant. So this Garuka karma is very, very unlikely in your life, this life, right? But there's a good chance that if you meditate deep enough, you can get jhana and you can go to Brahman realm, okay? The atanaga, okay, the karma that you do just before you die. So that is also a possibility, right? So that's one group. And the other is you reliving all the positive or negative energy that you did. One of those will come to you and you know exactly where you're going. Or you can see sign, let's say you're going to go to hell, you will see dogs, the dog hounds chasing you, things like that. So gati nimitta. So because of that, if you're also thinking atanaga, meaning or the karma nimitta, it will be like karma nimitta. Let's say you're thinking about your ancestor, you're cleaning the tomb and you've given food to your ancestor. So that you will relive that moment and you'll get, that is called karma nimitta. Okay. တော့ကျွန်တော်တို့တေကန်ဒီမှာမြင်နိုင်တဲ့နမိတ်၃ပါးဆိုတာရှိတယ်ကံရှိတယ်ကမ္မနမိတ်ရှိတယ်ဂတိနမိတ်ရှိတယ်เนาะအဲ့တော့ဒီကံမှာဘာတွေဖြစ်နိုင်တယ်လဲဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်ဂရုကံဆိုတာကကျွန်တော်တို့အားလုံးသိကြပါတယ်ငရဲကိုသေချာသွားမဲ့ကံပေါ့เนาะအဖေကိုတတ်တယ်အမေကိုတတ်တယ်ယဟန္တာကိုတတ်တယ်ဖျားကိုသွေးစင်းရှင်အောင်လုပ်တယ်တန်ခါခိုင်းခေါ်တယ်ဆိုရင်ငရဲသွားမှာ right ဒါပေမဲ့ကိုဒီအဲ့လိုပဲဇန်နေကျင့်ခဲ့တယ်တရားတွေကျင့်တယ်ဇန်လည်းပဲထိရောက်တယ်ဆိုရင်မြမပြည်ရောက်မယ်အာတနကံဆိုတာတေကန်ဒီမှာကပ်ပြီးလုပ်တယ်ကုသိုလ်ကံဖြစ်စေအကုသိုလ်ကံဖြစ်စေသူတို့ကဆုံးဖြတ်ချက်เนาะအဲ့တော့ဒီဒါမရှိခဲ့ရင်ကာမနမိတ်ဆိုတာဟာကိုယ်ရင်ပြည့်လုပ်ခဲ့မှုတဲ့ကောင်းကံမကောင်းနိုင်ငံတွေကိုလက်ရှိတေကန်ဒီမှာပြန်လုပ်နေရတဲ့မျိုးပြန်ပြီးတော့ခံစားရတယ်အဲ့ပုံမှာမူပြီးတော့ကိုဖယ်သွားမယ်ဆိုတာကိုကြိုသိမယ်အခုပတ်ဝန်းကျင်ကတော့သိမှာမဟုတ်ပေါ့နော်တချို့လူတွေမှာတော့ကျတော့ဒီတစ်ကောနှစ်ကောမပေါ်ဘူးဆိုရင်ဂတိနမိတ်ဆိုတာပေါ်တတ်တယ်ဂတိနမိတ်ဆိုတာဘာလဲဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့မီးတွေမြင်ရတယ်ခွေးကြီးတွေလိုက်နေတယ်ဆိုရင်ငရဲသွားမယ်အပယ်လာဖို့များတယ်အဲ့လိုမျိုးနတ်ပြည်တွေမြင်ရတယ်နတ်ဘုံနတ်တွေမြင်ရတယ်ဆိုရင်ကောင်းရာသူတွေသွားဖို့များမယ်ဒီအမေရဲ့ဝမ်းတွင်းမှာအဲ့လိုအနီအောင်ပိတ်ဆောင်လို့မြင်ရမယ်ဆိုရင်အမေရဲ့ဝမ်းတွင်းမှာလူပြန်ဖြစ်မယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့လိုမျိုးဂတိနမိတ်တွေမြင်ရတယ်ဒီနမိတ်၃မျိုးရှိတယ်နော်အဲ့တော့ခုနကတေကန်ဒီမှာကိုကဘာဖြစ်မလဲဆိုတော့ဒီဥက္ကူသွားရှင်းတဲ့ဟာကိုစိတ်ကဆွဲပြီးတော့အဲ့ဒါကိုပြန်ပြီးတော့တကယ်လို့မျိုးခံစားရမယ်ဆိုရင်တရားတစ်ခုအဲ့မှာတရားသွားဖြစ်ဖို့ရှိနော်ဆိုတော့အဲ့ဒါလေးကိုသိစေချင်တာပါ so now we're going to look at if any of your ancestors are ghosts, what do you do for them? Okay, how do we help them to be free from suffering? Not from, there was an typo, to be free from suffering. So if any of your ancestors, because they had a wrong mindset, they ever became a ghost, how do you help them? Okay, now we are going to look at another story from the same book, the Petawatu. This is the real story of Shinsariputra. So one of the famous disciples of Buddha. Okay, so Shinsariputra is the one who is considered to be the most learned, the smartest disciple of Buddha. Okay, there are two, right? Shimmoggalana is the one who has the most supernatural power. Whereas the Shinsariputra is the one who is most educated, most learned disciple of Buddha. Okay, so that's also from the Petawatu, and this would tell us how we help our ancestor if they ever become a ghost and hungry ghost and they suffer. Okay, all right, Kathleen, could you read that for us, please?
Bandai's mother. Saripatra Bandai sees a female ghost and asks, you're naked and very ugly. Your veins are popping out. You in person with your ribs sticking out. Who are you? Ghost. I was your mother in a previous life. Now I am living in the ghost world, suffering from hunger and thirst. My food is saliva, mucus, phlegm, the fat of burning bodies, the blood of women giving birth, blood of wounds, pus, and the blood from shedding wounds. I can only feed on the pus and blood of humans and animals. I do not have a house of my own, therefore I stay in the cemetery. Messiah, please offer alms to monks and dedicate that merit to me. Then I'll be free from eating pus and blood. Having heard what his mother said, the compassionate Saripatra Bandai called Moggallana Bandai, Narada Bandai, and Kadina Bandai. Saripatra Bandai built 4 huts and offered those huts along with food and drink to the whole community of monks and dedicated the merit to his mother. The result of this donation immediately took effect in the form of food, drink, and clothing for the ghost. She became pure, wearing the cleanest and nicest clothes with jewelry.
Thank you, Tami. So look at this story. So the prior story from the same Petawatu, the ghost is very beautiful. She lives in a great mansion, right? Now here is a different story. So remember, this is the late mother of Shinsariputra, one of the best disciples of Buddha. But look at his mother, right? She is naked, ugly, veins are popping out, very thin, ribs sticking out, skin on the bone. Really, really scary, right? Look at how she is suffering. because she did bad deeds in the past life. So she's hungry, she's thirsty, but what can she eat? She is disgusting, right? All she can eat is saliva, mucus, phlegm, fat of burning body, blood from woman giving birth, blood of woman's pus, blood from shaven ones. I can only feed on the pus and the blood of human and animals. I do not have a house of my own, therefore I stay in the cemetery. Oh, my son, please offer alms to monks and dedicate that merit to me, then I'll be free from eating pus. Now remember, Shinsariputra, because he is one of the learned, he also has some power, but can he take him out of misery for his own mother? No, right? So what did he have to do? He had to invite the Moggallana Bandit, okay, the one who has the most power. Do you think he will be able to help with his power? No, right? So he invited the Moggallana, Narada, and Kapina Bandit. So he invited 3 other monks, okay? And he donated food and full hut for his mother. Then dedicated that merit to his mother. Because of the result of that, she immediately got the food, drink, and clothing. She became pure, the cleanest and nicest clothes with jewelry. Now, that's how we as Buddhists believe in to help our ancestors, okay? Not like other religion, other culture, right? Other culture, even our Burmese culture is very similar to Indian culture, because Burma, before the time of Buddha, before the Buddhism came, we believe the culture of Indians, right? So we have Indian culture, right? The Chinese have their own culture that we discussed, right? So every person, every religion, every country has their own culture, how they deal with their ancestors, right? But according to Buddhism, though, the right way of helping our ancestor is this, right? Miva Simio, Nico Monomari, the Sontabi Lodro, the say the body Yapin again. A below low amle, below the Rugo, General Gunyam, Les Rehago, the Shantari Botra, were 2 degani piro, General Lila Giluyare, the way to the leg, Guna, Nesopia, were 2 rega, Beta, what to the Annie to Utara Pepare, Shantari Bodraga, to the Yama, the Sema the on it to it, 8 Sema got the kill, you call us so bit of being young cat near Hama, 2 miro. ဘာဖြစ်လို့ဒီဘုံဘဝရောက်နေပိတ်တာဖြစ်နေရတယ်လဲဆိုတော့ तू ကရှင်သာရိပုတ္တရာကိုငါသားလို့ခေါ်တယ်ဟုတ်လားငါသားရင်တော့ငါဟာနဲ့အမေဖြစ်ခဲ့ဘူးတယ်အခုတော့ငါရဲ့မကောင်းမှုအောက်စဉ်ကြောင့်ငါစားနေတာငါအိမ်လည်းမရှိဘူးဝယ်စားလည်းမရှိဘူးစားနေရတယ်ပြည်တွေတိုးတွေနှက်တွေပဲစားနေရတယ်ဘယ်လိုလုပ်ပြရမလဲဆိုတော့တန်ငါကိုလှူပြီးတော့ငါ့ကိုအမျှဝေပါဆိုပြီးတော့ရှင်သာရိပုတ္တရာကရှင်မောက္ကလန်ရဲ့ရှင်နုရုဒ္ဒရာရဲ့ရှင်ကပိနာရဲ့ကိုခေါ်ပြီးတော့ ကြောင်းလေးကြောင်းဆောက်ပြီးတော့လှူလိုက်ပြီးတော့သူကအစားတောက်တဲ့စတူဒီတာတွေကိုလှူလိုက်ပြီးတော့မှသူ့အမေကိုအမျှဝေတော့မှသူ့အမေလည်းသူကအစားတောက်တွေရသွားတယ်နေထိုင်တာတွေရသွားနော် so that's the ကျွန်တော်တို့ဗုဒ္ဓဘာသာတွေကဒီလိုမျိုးလုပ်ကြပါတယ် so now how do we help them? What are the important things? There are 5 important steps that we help our late ancestor if they ever end up in the woeful realm or the lower realm, right? So especially the ghost realm, hungry ghost realm. So Sarah, could you read this for us, please?
Doni must be one with the sila, volition of the donor for the benefit of the dead. Different types of goods. Donor must share good deeds to the dead, transference of merits. Dead must accept and say sadhu.
Thank you, Lumi. So these are the 5 steps that are required if you want to do the right way. So this is, remember here, transference of merit. This is the law of karma, okay? Doesn't matter what religion you believe in. This is how things work. Okay. Now, here it does not mention anything about Buddhism. Okay, whether you're Hindu or atheist or Christians, you gotta follow these, right? So number one, the donee, meaning the person who is accepting your donation, must be the one with sila, right? Here, it doesn't mean sangha, okay? It just says the one with sila, right? It could be a Christian monk. It could be a Muslim monk. It could be any monk. It could be, they don't even have to be a monk, right? They can be any person, but they must have sila, right? As you all know, the 5 precepts, the people who actually have keep the 5 precepts, right? So that's the one requirement. So you find someone who has sila. And for us, it's really easy because a lot of our monks, maybe not 100%, but majority of the monks, the Buddhist monks, keep sila very pristine, right? So you just go to a monastery and give donation to a monk, right? Tick, right? You can check this easily. Now, number 2, the volition. Now, volition means your mindset, right? What is in your heart, right? We call it sadhana, or in English, it's volition of the donor for the benefit of that. So your drive from your heart has to be, I'm making this donation, not for me, for my mom, for my dad, for my grandpa, for my grandma, for my great-great-grandpa, whoever is a ghost, right? So you have to have that volition in your heart when you do that, the moment that you do that donation. Okay. Now here, different types of gods mean dependent. So just like Shansariputra, her mother need a house, then she built a hut, right? Her mother need food, she offer food. Her mother need clothing, she offer robe. So depending on what they need, then you gotta donate different types of goods. But since you don't really know what your ancestor needs, so it's better you donate different stuff. So that's why whenever we donate something to the monk, so we donate different things, right? We donate food, we donate robe, we donate umbrella, we donate slippers, so different types, right? So it has to be different types of goods, right? Number 4, the donor must share good deeds to the dead. So at the end, that's the reason why we always say what we call a miawiti, right? In English, transference of merit, meaning that the positive energy that you just did is yours. How do you give that positive energy to that ancestor who is needing that? So you gotta know how to transfer that merit, okay? So you gotta share that good deeds to the dead. So that's the reason why at the end of any positive energy, we say that transference of merits, right? We say idame bonya atawakea, so on and so forth. Now here, you're gonna say specifically, hey, this donation was made for my father, my mother, my grandfather, my grandmother, whoever that you are planning, right? You're intending for. And now the 5, also the dead must accept and say sadhu. So your ancestor who now is a ghost also need to accept that. So even though, let's say you have done 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but your dead one is happy where he or she is at, will they get it? No. Let's say you're a Chinese, right? Your grandfather died. Now he's a ghost. And somehow you know it. And you have done, okay, grandpa, I donated a lot of food and umbrella and robe and clothes for you. Okay. The monk at the monastery has a lot of sila. Number 1 checked, right? In my heart, I really, really strongly believe that this is for you. I'm doing this for my grandpa. Number 2 is checked, right? Number 3 already checked, right? Now I'm giving that to you and you say that verbally. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 is checked. But let's say number 5, your grandpa or your great-grandpa is happy where he is at. Hey, grandson, thank you very much, but I'm happy here. I'm with my ancestors. You know, I have my grandfather, I have my kids, I have my great grandfather. We're happy at the cemetery, right? Every year you come and give me food. No, I don't want to leave here. I'm happy here. Will it work? No, right? So the dead or the person that you're intending to also has to accept and say sadhu, right? The word sadhu here means not well done. The word sadhu here means now I got it. I own it. I received it, right? So sadhu can be interpreted in so many different ways. So a lot of time we know sadhu as well done. It is not the right interpretation here. Here, he has to own it. He has to accept it. He has to take it as his own for the first 1, 2, 3, 4 that you did for that person, right? So next time, whenever you do any type of positive energy for your ancestor, make sure that you are checking number 1 to 4. Number 5 is not yours. Number 5 is that person. All right. So if you want to do that for your ancestor, you might want to go to the grave. You might want to go to the cemetery and share the merit, transfer the merit. Okay. But remember, he or she has to accept it. Right. So these are the 5 elements of donation for the dead. So that's the difference between Buddhist and the other culture. Right. You really need to understand the concept. You really need to understand these 5 elements. Right. Okay. So now, how would you like to be remembered after your death? So how many of you would like to be remembered after you die? By your friends, by your kids, by your relative? Kevin. All right. Kevin, what would you do if you would like to be remembered after you die? Someone will remember Kevin. Oh, Kevin, I remember him every moment. What would you do, Kevin?
What does that mean?
So what would you do today so that your friends and your relative will remember you? Kathleen.
I don't know.
Okay, Kevin. Yeah, that's fine. All right. So before, what we talk about is what will we do? What should we do and how should we do it for our late ancestor, right? This is for us. For me, I'm not dead yet. But for you, you're not dead yet. But what should you do now so that people will remember you after you die? Okay. So Kevin, could you read that for me?
If you want your name to be remembered after your death, either do something worth writing or write something worth reading.
Okay, could you explain that to us in simple English?
If you want to be if you want to be remembered after you die, then
Kathleen, you want to help Kevin?
I think if you want to be remembered, preferably something good that's either worth being remembered.
Okay. Sarah?
I agree with Kathleen and Kevin, but also like make sure you do something worthy enough to write about and yeah.
Miranda?
You should do something that people would acknowledge or something that is worthy of recognition. or like do something that like is beneficial for other people and yourself.
Right. So you see, we can prepare for our next life, or we can prepare for the time that after we die, right? We don't know what we're going to be, but if we want, okay, our relative to remember us, so this is what Abraham Lincoln said, right? If you want your name to be remembered after your death, either do something worth writing, meaning that what you did is so brave, so marvelous that people will start writing about you. Okay, this is what Kathleen did in her life, and it's so great for the humankind, right? So something really big, right? It doesn't have to be an invention, it can be anything, but something really touching the heart of other people, the heart of your relative, right? So do something worth writing, right? Meaning someone else will write about you, what you did. Or write something worth reading, or you start writing novels or stories that people love to read even after you die. So that's what Lincoln said, right? So either you do something that people will write about you, or you write something that people will read what you wrote. Okay, so what I want to encourage you is to do something positive that can change the world, that can change the community, or start writing that will be left behind that people will love to read. Oh, what Miranda wrote is beautiful. We are going to make that the textbook for the whole state of California or the whole state of the United States. Right, Miranda? Some of you guys are good at writing, right? So that's what Lincoln said. We can prepare for it. Okay, you don't have to wait till you die, till the first year or the day of the death, that, oh, my grandkids will remember me. You don't have to wait for it. You can prepare it for now by doing this, right? So what do you do that your family will remember you daily? Right? Those we love never truly leave us, even if they die. There are things that death cannot touch. Jack Thorne, beautiful sentence, I like that. So even if someone died, say for example, there are certain words that my father told me will stay with me forever. And I might give that to my kids too, right? Every time, whenever opportunity gives me, I will remember him and I will use his words, his advice, because those words will stay with me even though my father died, right? His advice are stay alive. So that's what it means. There are things that death cannot touch, right? So you want to leave those behind. How do you do that? Right? So these are the 7 ways to be remembered after death. Josh, could you read those, please?
Give generously, have time for others, be helpful, respect everyone, develop an open, loving attitude, be genuine, and show compassion.
So these 7 things, you don't have to be a Buddhist, right? Can a Christian be generous? Definitely, right? Can an atheist be generous? Yes, right? So now, if you want to be remembered by your family, your wife, your husband, your mother, your father, your grandparents, you just put in whoever you want at the end. Let's say you want your son to be remembered, your son to remember you after you die. You give generously to your son. Now here, give generously doesn't necessarily mean money, right? Give love generously. Okay? In any condition, unconditional love, give generously. If it's for your wife, for your husband, give generously to your husband and to your wife. have time for others. If you want your kids to remember you, if you want your mother and father to remember you, make sure you have time for the kids. Okay? Be helpful. Respect everyone. Now, if you respect your mother, let's say I have my kids, I want respect from my kids. But if I'm yelling at my mom in front of my kids, what are the chances that my kids will yell at me? Kevin? Miranda?
Pretty high.
Pretty high, of course, right? So I want respect from my kids, but I'm yelling at my own mother here on this side, but I want like, hey, I'm your father, give me respect. But I'm yelling at my mother, right? That won't work, right? So you gotta respect everyone, right? I respect my kids, okay? In return, they will respect me, right? I respect my mother, in return, my kids will respect me. So you're gonna respect everyone. Double and open loving attitude. It has to be open, right? Shouldn't be one way. You're gonna open your arms as a father, mother, kids, daughter, son. Right? You're gonna have a loving attitude. Be genuine. Be yourself. Show compassion. Now, if you do these 7 things, you will be remembered even before you die, right? Let's say you go far away. Let's say you go to college. You go to college in a different state, right? If you're so cute and loving, your mom will remember you every day. Oh, my daughter, I miss her already. She left home just last week. But without her, I need something. I feel like it's void in my heart. Now, someone's already remembering you even before you die. Now, imagine after you die, if you have done this consistently every time with your friends, your family, they will definitely remember you, right? So make sure you do these things every day now with your family, with your friends, right? You guys want to be loved by, you love your friends, you want to be loved by your friends, then do these. Okay, if we do that, your life will be beautiful even before you die. And after you die, your life will be beautiful too. They will remember you. You don't have to worry about, oh, are they coming to my graveyard and will they offer me food? You don't have to worry about it, right? If you're worried about it, you're going to be a hungry ghost. We do not want that, right? We want you to be, I have done all the positive thing in my life. I am just going to be fine. All right, very good. So I want you to understand. So even though the 31 realms that we believe in as Buddhist, even though the hungry ghost is here, the one of the lowest realm. So Niraya is the hell. Okay, Tireshana is the animal. Peter is the hungry ghost, and Asura are the demons, right? So even though there's a chance that we can go to Peter world, we now know how not to get to that world, right? If we do positive energy, and also if we have the right mindset. Now, remember though, what I want you to take home today is, even though you do good things, if you don't understand the law of karma, if you don't understand that the process, the moment that we die, you can mistakenly end up in this world. Not Naraya, not to hell. But if your mindset, let's say before you die, all you're thinking about is my dog, let's say you have a beautiful dog, all right? Now, a lot of Americans in this country, they have dogs and cats, and they love them so much. And I have friends who think about their dog all the time. They talk about it They brag about it. Oh, my dog is that, my dog is that. Every moment they think about is their dog. Okay, they cry when their dog dies and they get another dog. Now, there's a good chance that they might be thinking about their dog before they die. Guess what? They could become a dog, right? Now, the same idea that we discussed today, that if you're thinking about your ancestors and the tomb and this, that culture, even though it is beautiful, but you could become a hungry ghost, right? Now, the demons, right? So in Pali, we call it Asura. Now, even though you do positive energy, you still could become in this world. The same thing because of your mindset, okay? So these three words, even though you do good, you do positive energy, if you don't understand the law of karma, if you don't understand abhidhamma, if you don't understand the mind, the process of mind before we die, you could unintentionally end up in these lower realm. So that's what we want you to understand. So today we talk about how to keep the right mindset before we die, how to help our ancestor if they ever end up in this world. Okay, if they ever become animal, there's nothing that we can do for them. Or if they become Asura, there's nothing that we can do for them because they're happy there. Okay, but this is the realm that we can help. Okay, and we discussed about how to keep our mindset, how to treat our parents, our relative, our friends, so that you will be remembered even before you die, and also after you die. All right. So thank you for joining us today. We will open that to discussion. Any question? Any comment from anyone?